So, hi everybody again. This is the bit where I'm in jammies. I did promise I'd be in jammies at some point, so I'm back at the tiny flat in my pyjamas, and this is the bit where I wanted to show you a couple of recipes for really nice bath things that you can make for yourself or your loved ones. And they'll be really useful in your new improved self-care routine. So one of the things that I haven't mentioned before is that several years ago I used to run a sacred bath and soap business. So I started running a little business with a friend in about 2004, and we used to make traditional soaps from base ingredients from oils and essential oils, and we'd also make sacred baths, and all of them had a magical intent behind them. So they were always there with a twofold reason for being. So we'd make magical baths for purposes such as relaxation, or if you wanted to do a money drawing bath, or if you wanted to have a soap that celebrated the Sabbats from the Wheel of the Year, then we were your girls. But when I started studying and went back to university, then I didn't quite have time for fitting everything in, so had to do a little bit of pruning then. So now I just make them for hobbies when I feel like it. So what we're going to do, I'm going to teach you two sacred baths. One is a milk bath, so if you want to, a la Cleopatra, be bathing in milk, then that's one of the recipes. And the other recipe is for a bath salt. So we're going to be using ingredients that you can source very easily, either from your local supermarket or from the internet. Worst case scenario, if you're living out in the wilds, then you might need to go for the internet. But most of the ingredients that I'm using today I actually bought at my local supermarket this morning in Edgware. So the tools that you need for this are really simple. I've got one mixing bowl and a cup for measuring. So this is the part of the day where I get a bit messy, which I always enjoy. So we're going to start with making the bath milk, and what we're going to be doing is doing a mixture of ingredients. So in my corner shop this morning I managed to track down some coconut milk powder mix, which we're going to use. I haven't tried this before, so this is a new one. One of the things that I used to do as a favourite in the past was actually a dried goat milk, which you can buy online, and I'd get that ordered online and sent to my house. So that's one way of doing it, is either dried coconut milk or dried goat milk or dried whatever else you fancy putting in. Then we've got corn flour is the next ingredient, which you'd have normally often. Then we've also got bicarbonate of soda, which I've again bought at the corner shop this morning, along with some pure milk powder. So I'm kind of shouldn't be advertising brands here, but these are all the stuff that my local corner shop sells. It's an international supermarket, so because I live in central London, well, outskirts of London, I've got access to all of these things. But if you can't get them in your local Sainsbury's, Tesco, Asda, whatever supermarket, I'm sure you'll be able to order them online fairly easily. So no precise measurements going on here. I'm not very good at following recipes, so I'm using a mug, a little cup, and my bowl, and we're gonna put the ingredients in there, mix them all together, and off we go. So for our first trick today, we're going to make the bath milk. So I'm gonna take a cup of pure milk powder. See, that's about a cup, close enough, and pop that in the bowl. Then we've got bicarbonate of soda. Now when you add bicarbonate of soda to things, it gives you a little fizz, not a massive fizz, but it's also quite softening on the skin. So I'm going to put in maybe a third of a cup of bicarbonate of soda and drop that into the same mixture. So next up is about a cup full of corn flour. See, I told you I was going to make a mess, and I have. It's all over the place. So we're going to mix in that cup of corn flour. There we go. And then next up, I've got about a cup full of that coconut milk. So I'm going to just lob that in. Off we go. So we've got a big pile of white stuff. So what we do with the big pile of white stuff is now get your hands in there and mix it all about to make sure that all of that corn flour and the various milk powders and the bicarbonate of soda are well mixed through. And this is the quite satisfying messy part. So once you've got those dispersed all in together, if you're making this a magical bath, this is a good time to be thinking about what your intent is. So we're mixing in that intent of relaxation and deep breathing and self-care. And what I'm going to do is follow that up with some essential oils that are good for that intent as well. So we've got the milk, which is all really soothing and good for your skin and relaxing. And then what we're going to do is next add some essential oils. So then, now I've managed to cover me and my entire kitchen with milk powder. So swipe that up. And the next step is the essential oils that we're going to use. So I'm going to do a goat milk bath for self-care and self-healing, which also helps with, if you're getting symptoms of depression, then some of these oils can be quite soothing and helpful for that as well. So we've got our number one Venusian oil of the day is Rose Maroc. So this is one of my absolute favourites. Smells gorgeous and is really soothing on your senses and relaxing. So I'm going to add in, let's go for about 5 or 6 drops of this. It's quite safe on your skin, so it's a if you're not familiar with essential oils, it's quite a good place to start. So what we've got next, staying with our Venusian theme, is I've got a bit of clary sage oil. This one comes with a warning. If you're pregnant or trying to be pregnant, do not use clary sage oil. Otherwise, if you have really bad menstrual cramps, it's a really useful oil and it's good for a mood lifter as well. So I'm going to add in another 6 drops of that one. When you're working with essential oils, it's really good to always make sure that you've got a authoritative book that you can refer to. If it's something that you're not familiar with, make sure you've got a good reference book to refer to that will tell you all of the health implications of various things that you're using. Now, I've been playing around with essential oils since I was 18, which is far too many years for me to remember. So I'm fairly confident I know what I'm doing. However, if you are making these as gifts for anybody else or presents for giving away, just make sure you're telling people what's in them, because various people have different allergies and you need to allow for the fact that people might react to things differently. So one of the rules in the UK about selling bath products is that you have to have them safety assessed by a proper lab before you're allowed to actually legally sell, and that's there for a reason. It's quite a tricky process to go through, but it's there for a reason. It's there to protect people, so that you know if you're buying products over the counter from somebody or a small provider like me, then you always know that what you're buying is safe, basically. So it's really important to follow those rules. If, however, you're doing this as a gift, just make sure you label everything carefully so that the person that you're giving it to knows what's in there. Otherwise, you do it for yourself and enjoy it, and that's a fairly safe bet. So my third oil for this one is geranium oil. So I'm just going to add in another 6 drops of geranium oil, and there we go. So that's one of my favourite recipes which when I was making bath salts, I used to call it Defence Against the Mean Reds. And if you've watched Breakfast at Tiffany's, you'll know that Holly Golightly talks about having the mean reds, which is like the blues, only worse. So that's my recipe for Defence Against the Mean Reds milk bath. There we go. I've turned the camera around so you can see what I'm doing. So I've got the essential oils mixing in with that milk, and I'm just, if you remember from your home ec days at school, if you're making pastry, they talk about rubbing things in with your fingertips, and it's the same process here. But again, if you're making something with an intent, this is the time to be pushing that intent into the mixture. So it's always through touch that we do that, through the energy of thinking about what it is that you're thinking about. So we're thinking about lifting the mean reds, we're looking at lifting our mood, and that's the energy we're going to put in. So that's the essential oil now is all mixed through, and the next stage is to make sure that you let this dry out before you pop it into a bag or a bottle or whatever. One of my first experiences of making bath salts was exploding bath salts, because I didn't allow the mixture to dry out properly before I put them in a corked bottle, and about a week later we had a very loud explosion in the bathroom, and it was my bath salts. So don't do that if you can help it. So then we come to recipe number 2, which is for a bath salt. So I have in my bowl in front of me, we've got 2 cups of sea salt that I've put in, and then in the mug next to it we've got a cup of Epsom salts. So don't be too precious about the kind of salt that you make the bath salts from. Any of you that are doing magical work in a circle will know that salt is used to cleanse, much in the same way that Native Americans might have used smudging. We use salt and water because salt is a purifier. It's an energetic purifier, and if you look at the Key of Solomon, there are some words in there that you can use for exercising salt if you want to, or you can just do it through your own magical intent. And the idea is that the salt cleanses energetically anything that's there. So anything that's impure, the salt will get rid of for you. So we have this thing, bath salts, which I used to make, which basically work on 2 layers. You've got the bath salt, which if you've got muscle aches, Epsom salts are fab. If you have eczema, salty baths are great for your skin. It's cleansing, it's soothing, plus you've got this second layer energetically of intent that you put in, plus the cleansing element. So I'm going to add in that cup of Epsom salt. So we've got 3 cups of salt altogether, and again you can use the posh Epsom salts and the sea salt and all the rest of it, or if you haven't got access to that and you're running on a tight budget, you can just as easily use Saxa table salt, whatever you can lay your hands on. So we've got 3 cups of salt there, and then again I'm going to add in some bicarbonate of soda because that's a really good soothing, softening. It softens the water, it softens your skin. I'm trying to do that without throwing it all over the worktop. So we've got some bicarbonate of soda that's gone in there as well. And then again, it's about mixing the salt to make sure that all the ingredients are dispersed through. And now we're going to add our essential oils. So, essential oils based. What we've got here is a really simple blend of 2 of my favourite essential oils, which are really good for soothing sore bits and also for relaxing you. So we've got lavender and tea tree oil, and I'm going to put a blend of the 2 in there. And so again, I'm going for around 6 drops of each. You can vary it depending on whether you like stronger smells or not. If it's just for you and your home use, you can add a little bit more if you want to. So that's 6 drops of lavender and then 6 drops of tea tree. Now when I used to sell the bath products, this one was called Bath Salts to Soothe Untamed Lions, because it was felt in ancient Greece that lavender would soothe untamed lions. So I kind of like that name, and it kind of stuck, so it stayed. So again, I'm then going to sift through the salt to mix those essential oils all the way through. Now if you want to, you could at this stage add food colouring. If you wanted to have a coloured salt, then blue food colouring or whatever food colouring that you want to use. Again, less is more with food colouring, so just a couple of drops, and then what you do is fold it through the salt so that the colour is evenly dispersed throughout. Again, I prefer myself natural stuff, so I'm less likely to add food colouring. I did used to when I started out, but I kind of like the pure white of the bath. It's kind of pretty. So botanicals wise, I've got some dried lavender, which came from a hedge witch I know in Devon, who gathered and dried the lavender herself, so it's got extra good energy wound through it. Again, if you don't fancy picking bits of botanicals out of your plug hole, then maybe add these separately in the bag, but I kind of quite like the lavender buds throughout because they're so pretty. But yes, you might want to add those separately. So I'm just going to add them, stir them all in, and there we've got bath salts to soothe untamed lions. So there we go. We've got bath salts to soothe untamed lions, and we've got a milk bath to beautify yourself in. And my kitchen hasn't smelt this good for ages, so thank you very much for the opportunity to have me share this with you. One thing just to mention, safety wise, if you have pets or children in the house, then obviously make sure that they're nowhere near when you're doing your essential oil work, and also make sure it's well ventilated, just in case there are people around that don't like the smell of the essential oils. Thankfully I'm on my own today, so the whole house smells lovely. So in terms of quantities, if you want to run a nice warm bath and then maybe add a cup full of salt or milk bath to the bath, and then you'll be able to smell the lovely essential oils through the steam. And then storage, if you want to store these bath salts, just pop the bowls near the radiator to dry out overnight, just to make sure that they're not wet and then you don't end up exploding like I did. But you can then keep them in a glass jar. Just make sure you label them up so you remember what was in there and that you know what the ingredients were, because 6 months later you'll forget and you'll be wondering what on earth is in there. Also, it's good for replicating recipes going forward. If you really like something, it's good to remember what was there. And so that's it for now. I'm going to wave goodbye. Go and enjoy your baths, look after yourselves, do lots of self-care. That's what I'm off to do now. See you soon. Bye.